POV, you say things like, my work is for anyone who needs spiritual healing. And maybe your website says, my work is for those on their spiritual journey. You care so much about what it is you do that you don't want to exclude anybody. And so your messaging ends up being so broad because you don't want to artificially limit your reach, right? You might say things like, for those who want to reconnect with themselves, or for those who want to feel empowered, or my work is for anyone feeling stuck. And whilst there's nothing exactly wrong with these statements, it's so broad, so all-encompassing that a potential client can't always recognise themselves and might not know that it's actually for them. They might not recognise in your wording what exactly it is that you do and how that relates to them as an individual. So my name's Leonie, I'm a spiritual business midwife, and that means that I help spiritual businesses, sacred space holders, perfect their messaging, get on top of their offers and craft them in a way that is clear and decisive, but tailored to their energy specifically. So if you came to me in a Spark session with this exact scenario, this is what I would do with you. Well, what's happening in this situation is usually that the practitioner hasn't fully anchored who the work is primarily for. So different people will come with different starting points, right? So someone who is grieving will be starting from a totally different place than someone who's coming to you with burnout. Somebody who is just on their spiritual awakening journey, just starting, is going to be in a totally different place, a totally different mindset and a totally different space emotionally than someone who's coming to you with anxiety. Where you're trying to help so many different people and all of their individual starting points, all of their own individual unique needs, that means that your messaging, you'd have to make it so broad to accommodate for everyone that you're trying to help that it then loses sharpness. If it loses its sharpness, if it loses its defining edge, its clear edge, the messaging just gets so weakened, okay? And then people aren't quite sure if it's for them. Oh, this might be for me. I think she's talking to me. Oh, I think what he's talking about fits my situation, but people aren't sure. And remember, when people are confused, they don't buy, they don't book. They're not certain that you're for them. People most often recognise themselves in specificity. Try saying that quickly. So when you are specific in your description, people reading it can exactly say, yes, that's for me. Yes, that person is exactly speaking to my situation, or that person exactly understands what I'm going through or what's happening for me right now. So I've said this before, people aren't buying your list of solutions, right? They are buying the solution to their problem. So you might have this whole list of things that you're offering and you might say, oh, this is great for this person going in this situation. So someone with anxiety, come to me, I can help you with that. Oh, if you're grieving, I can help you with that. Oh, you've gone through a breakup. Yes, I can exactly help you with that. But where you're helping so many different types of people and they're all kind of, you're trying to do a catch-all scenario, you end up catching very few because your net has to be too wide, right? People recognise themselves when your work is specific and clear. If they can't recognise themselves, they aren't going to buy. If your description feels too general, people are just going to unfortunately assume that the work is meant for somebody else because it's not speaking to their individual problem, to their individual situation. Okay, so what do we do about this? Well, if you came to me with this in a Spark session, I would take you through a number of steps so we can get to the real heart of what it is you're offering. So first of all, we would identify who most urgently needs the work that you do. So yes, you could totally help so many different people. You could probably help a really broad range of people. But what we would need to do is we would need to assess who most urgently needs the work that you're offering. Who do you feel most called to work with as well out of all of that? Which types of clients are kind of like really calling to you, really, really kind of like in your heart? Who are the ones that you're like, oh, I really, really need to help those people? And then that is who we would focus on first. So it's not anyone who could benefit. It's specifically the people who are really looking for this type of help. Then we would look at what situation they're in when they start searching. So somebody who's searching from this would be a nice to have, but it's not urgent. Somebody in that situation is going to be in a totally different place than someone who is like, I am hurting right now. Oh my goodness, I can't carry on feeling like this day in, day out. I need a solution right now. Those two people, although their situation might be very similar, where they're coming from, where they're approaching you, where the state they're in when they find your work or they're searching for your work is completely different. So that's what we would map out next. And then what problem feels most pressing to them? What thing would they pay money to solve or to have fixed or to have alleviated? Because ultimately this is a business. You're not just offering this service from the goodness of your heart, which that's included as well. Obviously we're doing this work because we care about it, but it is a business as well. So which problem are people paying money to have solved? Okay, what would somebody pay money to feel better about? And then what language are they using to describe their issue? Not what transformation you give them, that comes later on, right? But where they are in the moment that they're searching for you, in the moment that they're trying to find you, they're trying to find some help for their situation. What words are they specifically using to talk about their problem? So someone who's going for a breakup, they're not going to say, oh, my heart chakra is too open and it's been damaged, or oh, my throat chakra is blocked. They're not using that language to describe the situation they're in. That might be what's actually going on for them when you kind of start the session and you get into it a bit more deeply with them. But someone who's trying to find you, that's not what they're Googling. They're not Googling, oh, there's a hole in my aura, or I can't contact my spirit guides. I feel really out of touch with my spirit guides. They're Googling things like, I feel terrible, I feel so sad, or just gone for a breakup and I can't cope, or I've just lost a parent and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move forward. Those are the things that they are searching for. So that's the kind of language that you need to be using to talk about the work that you do, so that people specifically know that it is for them. And again, instead of trying to speak to everyone in this kind of broad catch-all scenario, you want to speak to people who are clearly most in need of your work and your gifts. And interestingly, when your signal becomes clearer, it actually often attracts more people, because that is their signal that this is specifically for them. So you probably will find that even more people are approaching you and more people are looking for you and finding you and reaching out to you to actually work with you, because they are certain that what you do is for them. So just to recap that, because I said quite a lot there, the first thing is, what situation are they actually in when they start searching for you? The second is, which problem is most pressing to them? And the third thing would be, what specific language are they using to describe their problem? Why does this matter? Well, for a few reasons. When you become really specific about who your work is for, where that person is when they first encounter you, when they're first searching for you, and what journey you take your particular client on, your messaging automatically becomes clearer because you're able to speak specifically to their individual situation. Your offers become so much easier to describe because you already know what transformation, what change, what improvement your client is looking for. You already know you're able to do this, but you're able to talk more easily about your work, about your offers, because you already know intimately that you get your client, your very specific client, from point A to point B. And the upshot of all this is that clients actually recognise themselves faster because you are more specific with how you're talking about your offer, how you're talking about your work, how you're communicating the particular benefits for their specific situation. Clients recognise themselves faster. So instead of wondering whether your work might help them, they feel immediately understood and they absolutely know that what you do is of benefit to them. They feel confident that you understand their situation, where they're coming from and where they want to get to. And that is when people move forward. So all of this, defining who your work is specifically for, is really so important in helping your clients recognise themselves and book with you. So if this sounds like something you would like some help with, if you're stuck trying to serve everyone with your general messaging and you're not exactly sure how to kind of pare it down and how to get specific, come and reach out to me, because this is exactly what I would do with you in a Spark session. Everything is tailored specifically to your energy, your human design and your gene keys, so you can be sure that you're working in a way that is sustainable and joyful for you. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next time.